What's going on, guys? Today, motor in the Challenger day, hopefully. So, I got the car pushed as far back so it'll go in the garage, so I'm not battling the entrance. Motor's on the stand, got the transmission down, I got the converter is on the bench. So, set this up. I gotta take this kind of half apart. Headers will come off, intake, carb, all that'll come off, distributor out. Just trying to lighten it up and get it as easy to move around as possible. I gotta put this little whatever flex platey type ring gear thing on the back, so I'll bolt that on. Oh, actually I gotta go get Loctite. I gotta do that before I do anything further because I want to Loctite that on. So I'll put that on, motor trans together. I'll just leave the converter in there spinning. I'll tighten that up once it's under the car. And then I'm thinking I'll be able to kind of slip it in there with the car on the ground, because that's kind of how it came out, I'm hoping. And then once I get in there, maybe I can put a motor mount bolt or two in there. And then I'll jack it up and put the trans, because it's got like this whole kind of bolt-in cross-member thing, in. And then it'll be in theory. Then hook up some wiring and kind of stuff like that and do whatever I gotta do. And then once it's in, I still gotta do all the valve lash and all that sort of stuff. There's still a lot to do yet, but the motor will be in again. So I'll be right back to where I was 2 weeks ago, except this motor isn't seized, hopefully. Yeah, so I'll do that. I bought a new set of gauges for it because, I don't know, I'll do some, screwing around with that, like oil pressure and temperature and stuff like that. Yeah, I'd like to see how these headers are gonna fit in there. That's kind of cool, those big openings, right? Yeah, that's plan today. So like I said, I actually gotta run out, get some Loctite real quick, but then I'll be back and then we'll start putting this together. Fast forward a little bit, I got my thread sealers. Engine is off the stand, headers are off, motor mounts are on. I like to Loctite those on just in case. This little, whatever it's called in a Dodge, is good. I checked it for cracks. Everyone's all panicked about that, but they seem like they're okay. I know they sell like kind of a SFI one, but whatever. Red sealant, so that's not coming out. Torque converter, I filled it up with fluid. I pushed it in, gave it a few spins, and I know it worked because it yacked a bunch of fluid out of the cooler line. So there you go. So at this point now, I got to finagle these together, which is a bit of a pain, but whatever. Put a few bolts in. I actually got some new fancy stainless fasteners so it won't look all shitty and rusty. Get that together. Like I said, I'm not going to hook up the torque converter just yet. I'll do that once I'm under the car. I guess I got the intake and carb off. I don't know where I left that with you guys. Do that, and then I got to readjust the chain on it so it has an angle downward, because as you see, we're already... I'll probably pull a few links out of this too, actually. But, whoop, slide her in and stab it on the mounts, and then I can kind of screw around with a bunch of other things. I do have to move some stuff out of the way. Starter and all that's just hanging, but should be okay. Just lightly graze the floor on the way in. I can pull the car ahead, jack it up, do whatever I gotta do from there. But that's my plan. So, I don't know, you guys have seen me wrestle transmission motor together 1,000 times. I'll get those all together, bolted up, and then we'll probably, next thing you'll see will be on the tripod. We'll be trying to jam this sucker in or crush a fender. Either way, it'll be good watching. Motor's in. fought me a little bit there, but just sitting on the mount, so I got a floor jack out of the transmission. So that's how it's going to be. I'm hoping I'll be able to bolt in the front. I can just put like a block or something on the transmission and just get that cross piece in, just kind of a couple of bolts just to hold it. There's no bolts obviously in there just yet, so it'll be a little bit of wrestling back and forth. But yeah, it was just, if the engine cam was like 2 inches longer, it would have made life a little bit easier. It's just jammed right against the bumper, but whatever. That's how it goes. I don't have enough height with the garage door to have a bunch of chain on it, which would have made it a little easier to sway. So what are you gonna do? But I'm gonna take a little break, and yeah, I'll come back. I'll bolt this all together. Maybe show you guys that. We'll go from there. Well, the motor is in. It's bolted down. I got it up on jack stands. The transmission's in. The mount's in. The drive shaft is in. I did a lot of work under the car, so I didn't do a lot of filming because it's lame under there. I got this one header on, which was quite a battle. I gotta say, it's tight. There's the one pipe that goes through. This one, a little bit. Underneath isn't happy, up top isn't happy. I do have the starter in, so I may have to pull the starter, I'm thinking, to get as much room as I possibly can. So yeah, just kind of want to see what it looked like. But yeah, all studs are good. I should be able to put it in. This is just, these headers are gonna be a nightmare to put in and then take back out. So I don't know if I should put them in now while there's fewer things around, or if I should wait till dead last, because they gotta come out again. It'll be a real pain in the butt. But yeah, I'm gonna leave it there for a little bit. Have a bit of a break again, because under the car, sweating, frustration has taken over. These headers have beaten me. Well, this header has beaten me, but they sure look cool. They are giant. Like, that's a, just that one pipe's as big as, well, probably twice the size of Danielle's exhaust on our sweet little Kia. But it's in, it's bolted down. I'm happy with it now. I can do the torque converter. I can start screwing around, rolling the motor over a little bit. That's why I want to start hooked up, so I could bump it over, find top dead center, make sure the valves are good, drop the distributor in, just do a few little things like that. And then hopefully test for oil pressure, fingers crossed, and hook all this junk up and whatnot. But like I said, I'm gonna take a little break. I'll probably come back up, make a little list of stuff I'm gonna need. Never gonna be ending. And then I know the fuel pump doesn't work, so that'll have to I'll gotta jack the rear end up and get in there as well. But it looks cool. Hot rod. Well, it's been a few days since I've been out in the garage because I have been working. It's a pain in the ass. First day I got to kind of leave at a reasonable hour. Where I left it, I was just struggling with this header. Unfortunately, I think the starter has to come out. And I got this kind of new, newer style, so it's like a mini starter. And unfortunately, the cables aren't quite long enough. They are actually rubbing against steering. So I'm going to have to go ahead and mess with that, unfortunately. But I'm going to pull the starter, hang it down, put the headers in, at least these two pipes, because they got to go in. The back pipe's actually easy because it just goes through the firewall, or fender. What do you call them in these Dodges? Structure. And then the front one hopefully will just do its thing. So I'm going to wrestle on that. I should probably put the brakes on this thing. I did pick up brakes a while ago. So it's got, the discs are good, but the calipers were seized. I bought new pads, so I can just bang that together real quick, like nothing. And then, I don't know if I got hydraulic line, flex line, but whatever. Then I can bleed the brakes, but I want to get this thing to bark to life. I still got to screw out the fuel system. I don't know, we'll see. But I'm going to get working on this, and maybe I'll bring it back when the headers are in, or the brakes are on, or I've accomplished something. This Dodge is defeating me. 1 hour. 1 hour it took me to get this header in. It's ridiculous. I mean, it looks awesome, but it's ridiculous. I had to take the starter out, change all the wiring. These things go in a crazy order. It's like those little puzzles you get as a kid. trying to get the sore out of the chain or whatever. This is ridiculous. But it's in. I really hope I don't have to take it out again, because it's a nightmare. The brake, whatever block, it was just wire tied to the kind of front frame. I'm like, oh, that's kind of funny. I now know why. Yeah. So anyways, I lengthened the wires a little bit. Actually, I just cut one wire. The other two were good. I'll have to do a little bit in the under the dash. Well, that's not too bad. Just the trigger wire. And it's in. The starter's in. I gotta do the top bolt. Yeah, the starter, which super easy. I fit my hand in there, obviously. This side I just have sitting there. I gotta probably take it out, but this side did go not as bad. Put the gasket in, and then I just got the it's got studs, so the nuts are just kind of holding it loosely. Hopefully I have a bunch more. They're 3/8 fine thread. Weird ass Dodge shit. But yeah, once I get that going, I'm pretty stoked. So I'm gonna get under it. I'll probably jack the back end up, start working on the fuel filter a little, because I don't want to do that, so I should do it first. Yeah. And then see if I can convince Mur to come over, because I did roll this thing over a few times, so now I gotta roll it over again, find top dead center, set the valves, and I bolt the intake on. That'll be easy. And then drop the distributor in, and then make sure the wiring for all this junk works, which I don't remember if I checked or not. Hopefully I did. And look for fuel leaks and problems and etc, etc, etc. But yeah, they sure look cool. It's like Medusa in there, but I dig it. I've been endlessly screwing around with this thing. I was having trouble getting oil pressure. I made a little drill thing. I welded an Allen key to it. Didn't pick it up. Took the pump apart, packed it full of grease. Someone actually recommended that, so I did that. Then I was getting oil pressure to the gauge, like 75 pounds, but wasn't going to the heads. And it turns out you got to kind of roll the motor over. And I guess it does every other bank opposite or something like that. So if you crank it over, I got one side going, and now I just got this side. But shows up 75 pounds. So yeah, now I gotta grab Danny, I guess, bump it over, find top dead center, and drop in this gear. Kind of figuring it out, this Dodge stuff. It's a lot like Chevy but different. So you kind of set this, because on a Chevy, this, I guess this gear would actually be on the distributor itself, and you kind of mesh it in. Well, now you got to actually mesh it, so you only got, I guess, 180 kind of spin one way or the other. So find top dead center. I marked on the distributor kind of where I want it to be for number 1, so I should be able to get it kind of close for the timing. And this thing's got no vacuum advance or no nothing, so I guess it's like a lockout type thing. It's actually marked on the balancer at like 36 to 38 degrees, so I assume that's what they ran this thing at. But it's got oil pressure. Both heads have oil. I'm happy about that. So now I can bump it over. So I'll find top dead center, get that going. I can plop the intake on. I got to clean up the head a little bit, both heads. A rally pan, intake, carb on. This was the water temperature was all bust, so I got a 3-pack of cheap gauges, so I might hook that up as well. But yeah, stoked. Unfortunately, that took way too long. It's been about 3 or 4 hours since I had the camera on last, because I was just struggling with this thing. These headers are a pain. Figuring out the oil pressure is a pain. You know, I have, like for GM stuff, I have a distributor I have taken apart, so you can prime it that way and all these things. So it's just, being a Dodge, and I'm a Chevy guy, it's all just new, and I don't have any of the stuff, so it's taking a little bit longer than I would have hoped. But I think, I should say it out loud, but I'm in kind of the home stretch. I mean, it cranks over. I think the valves should be good. Set those. Intake on, carb on. Like I said, I still gotta screw out the fuel pump. Maybe I can just dump some gas in the carburetor, see if it'll make a little bit of noise. Headers are somewhat on. The wiring's a little bit butchered underneath. I kind of had to make some extensions. Yeah, radiator on, kind of stuff like that, but we're getting there. Well, I've been beaten. I'm calling it for the night. We got the headers on, transmission's all hooked up. The wiring, I think, is not terrible. A little downward angle there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Dodge. But I'll get back at it tomorrow. We'll get her fired up. One day. Well, maybe it's tomorrow. I don't make any promises. By the time this video ends,
it'll either get fired up or on fire.
Yes. But see you guys tomorrow. Alright guys, next day. Not gonna lie, I was thrashing. Pretty bummed out on this thing. It's just taking forever. So it sure looks complete. And I've been going for a few hours. Just getting the plugs in was a nightmare. Tightening down the headers was a nightmare. I'm still missing 2 fine thread 3/8 nuts. So I might have to run out and get some of those. But I mean, I got the water pump fan on. I got the distributor in. I got it roughly timed where I think it should start. Intake on, valley pad on, carburetor on. I had to go get a the line for the fuel pressure was buggered, so I'll probably just put a pair of vice grips on that. It's got oil in it. I got to fill out the tranny up. Underneath, I think I'm all dealt with on the transmission and lines and stuff. Everything's hooked up to the transmission. Figuring out the throttle cable and the way the Dodge does the kick down. That was a little different. I mean, the problem is this thing was all apart, right? So I didn't know how everything went. Got that all together. Yeah. So I'm making some progress. I gotta make sure I get all the wires out of the way if everything gets hot. Still gotta do the fuel pump. I said 8 more times before I do it. But I think I'm good up here. I haven't checked. I mean, I know I got power up here, but I don't know if everything's all hooked up. So I still gotta do some screwing around on that. I actually don't have any fuel, so I'm gonna have to go and get some nuts and a few gallons of gasoline, and then I can, you know, run it off that or do whatever I gotta do. But it's supper time. Actually, it's way past supper time, but I haven't eaten yet, so I'll take a little break. I'll come back out, or I might go run to Canadian Tire, get a few things, and then I'll be back, and we'll see how this goes. But it sure looks cool. I'm really hoping I get this thing fired up. It's starting to get late, and I think firing off a big block Dodge at midnight is probably not the greatest for the neighbors. I got the radiator, I painted it, so it's just drying in the sun. Yeah, I'll have something to eat. I'll be back in a bit. Been beaten yet again. So, I had a fuel line hooked up just to a jerry can. This is my loopy-loop. I just vice gripped it, but I thought, I'll do that. I'll run off a jerry can, so I have nice fresh gas and be all nice and good. I put ATF in the transmission, and so I did this. And I got a geyser of fuel. And unfortunately, it's coming out of the actual steel braided part of it, or whatever this is. So this line and this line are junk. So they've been, you know, sat on, grounded, chewed by rats, whatever you want to call it. It's 8:30. I'm not getting that fixed tonight. So I'll take that all apart. I'll bring it to work tomorrow, then after working the way home, stop off at the old hot rod shop, get a few new hoses or whatever I gotta do for that. Man, this thing is just every corner. So, whatever, is what it is. I still gotta put all the plug wires in, stuff like that, radiator in, coolant hoses, fill it with water, yada yada yada. So there's still lots to do yet. Just kind of hoping I'll be able to do it now. It's all covered in fuel. It's a bit of a fire hazard. So yeah, I think I'm going to, I didn't get fine thread nuts. Canadian Tire didn't have any in stock. So it's just one thing after another. But still got things to do. So I'll do some more kind of housekeeping things, put the cooler back in for the transmission, all that kind of stuff that's kind of boring to watch anyways. And bring it back one more time tonight maybe. We'll see how she goes, and small list tomorrow of things. Wish me luck. Well, it's about midnight. I got my list of stuff I need for tomorrow. I'm gonna call her. Radiator's all buttoned up, stuff like that. The neighbor actually came by and dropped off a little Honda or something like that. The exhaust pipe needed some welding up, so I did a couple patches on that. Polished up everything for him, just so it'll look nice and fancy. I'll finish it off tomorrow with a nice coat of paint. But it's kind of nice taking a break from this demon of a Dodge. But like I said, got my list of stuff. Hopefully tomorrow I can get out of work on time. And yeah, get this thing running. So I gotta grab the fuel line off this so I can get some stuff measured up for tomorrow. Yeah, getting there. Next day yet again. How many more times am I gonna say next day before we're firing this thing up? So I left it yesterday. We had that massive fuel leak on the way home from work today. I stopped and got some of these push lock fittings. I just built a new one. I could have just changed the hose, but I hate this. I don't know. I feel like it belongs in Blossom or something like that. Dated, but just plain black's the way to go. I got hooked up to this is a heater hose. Whatever, got fuel up to it. I'm doing some screwing around with the wiring and all that sort of stuff. I gotta go around and double check all the headers tight, which is a frickin' nightmare. But I gotta do that, so I'll make that happen. Got the fan on, tested that. I got water in it. I think I got the timing kind of close enough anyways. I've rolled over a few times now. It has oil pressure. You guys saw all that. I got ATF in it. I got to double check and make sure it's somewhat full. I got the charger on the battery in the trunk, water in the radiator. We're gonna bring this thing to life tonight. So gotta double check all my grounds, make sure I got that going. Like I said, the headers, gotta double check that. All the plugs on this side I did from underneath, so I'm gonna do that again. I'm gonna make sure everything's gonna, I'd like to drop this thing flat. When it's up in the air, I don't know, I'm not a huge fan of that. But do that, make this thing run, bring it to life. Again, finally, hopefully, maybe. Clean some of this junk off, then I can put it ahead, and end this video, start right again into the fuel pump. It's got that Holly pump, I'm going to take it apart, maybe clean it, fix it, rebuild it, throw it in the garbage, put another one in. And front brakes, I've had the Rock Auto box sitting by the front door for a week or two now, well, 3 weeks, I don't know, since I got this thing. Do that, I can bleed the brakes, hopefully it'll run. God, do I hope it runs. And, I mean, then some mufflers and all that sort of stuff, but man, I want to get back on that there 55 Chevy. So yeah, that's what we're doing. I'll bring you back. Hopefully this thing will be slightly cleaned up, slightly less DD speed shopped. Is that a verb? And, we'll crackle this thing to life. Or burn it to the ground. Alright, got my muffs on. I'm optimistic. Everything's tight. Got somewhat cleaned off. The thing sits cool now. I think anyways. With the motor in the front. Where I guess where else would it be? But it doesn't sit so nose high. Just got to turn on. I put a couple of junk batteries in here on the charger. They're strapped down pretty much for an HRA. Fuel pump. It's quite a procedure. So again, we'll see if we can get this thing running. And then we'll do it properly the next time. Whoa. So that's going. No leaks. This is my only kind of concern. That's a little janky. You guys like that word? Alright, let's see if this thing goes. So it's got a ignition switch. Contact. Wow. Oh, that was easy. It's a pain. There we go. Huh. Contact. Wow. Well, that was easy. That was, wow. Like fired up quick. Was shocking. That's amazing. Well, there you go. Didn't make any crazy death rattles. It actually didn't even smoke like crazy. Out the back, headers had a little bit of a puff there, and I guess no breathers on it. But wow, there we go. Actually, you know what? I didn't even tighten the carburetors. Look at this. That probably causes a vacuum leak. But whatever. Man, that's good. I'm leaving it here. I'm not even gonna try putting it in gear. For one, there's no front brakes. For two, on the tranny shit, I want to finish on a high on this video. But wow. So there we go. Hopefully you guys like that. I know it's just a little teaser there. Trust me, tomorrow I'm gonna be right back out here, putting on the brakes, cleaning it up, stuff like that. Getting ready to go, put the fuel pump on properly, get the exhaust. I gotta get some mufflers or something on here, hood back on, do all those things so it'll actually move under its own power, because that'll be awesome. That's where I'm leaving it. Tell your friends, subscribe to the channel. If you like Dodges, let me know. If you hate them, also let me know, because I enjoy that too. Anybody who bought a shirt, thanks so much. I really appreciate it, man. You guys dazzled us. That's awesome. Everybody who helped with this motor, you know, Fred helped me with the getting the pistons on. You know, the Instagram guy, man, I appreciate that. Give me a deal on the pistons. Everybody who helped out on the live stream and all that, afforded to get this together. I never would have been able to do it without you guys. So thank you so much. Thanks for all the support. I really appreciate it. Leave a comment, send me a message on Instagram, shoot me an email. I try and get one to every one of you as best I can. It's a pile of work, but again, each and every one of you that helps out, thanks so much. That's it for now. We'll see you guys on the next one.